Alright YouTube, this is Zelda Hoarder coming at you with another deck profile. This time it's Frog Monarchs. I just want some input because I'm not sure if I should be running Vanity's Fiend, and I know that I need to be putting any. I saw one build that had a Max C in it, so whenever that gets reprinted, I'll probably put it in. So just give me some ideas what you think, because I would like to put in Vanity's Fiend, but I want to know what you guys think about that. So here it is. So we got 2 Treeborn. It is the main card in the deck. It's the main tribute fodder. You +1 every turn. It's really, really good. Every turn to your standby phase, since you never have any spell or trap cards set, this card special summons, and you get to tribute it for whatever. Also, there's some plays with this that I'll explain later. Run 1 Ronatoden. He's that extra second tribute if you need him for like Light and Darkness Dragon. He's really, really helpful, especially if you don't have a Treeborn yet. He can be used instead. His effect is you can remove from play a frog monster in your graveyard to special summon it from your graveyard, and then you can just keep using his effect over and over again. Then I run 2 dupe frogs. This searches out your swap frog, searches out your Ronatoden, searches out your Treeborn. Generally, you only search out your swap frog though, unless you already have one in hand, and then you can use that to search out some other frog, so you can discard and special summon the swap frog to put something in the graveyard. Plus, he's got 2000 defense, so he's good. Just like Ronatoden, the 2000 defense, that is a really decent shield, especially in this format with all the little monsters running around. Even though there's the Chaos Dragons that have the bigger stuff. I mean, it's good against a lot of things. Then you got the 3 Swap Frogs. This is the best card in the deck. It puts the Treeborn in the graveyard anytime it's summoned. So it can be special summoned from the graveyard, it can be special summoned from your hand, it can be normal summoned from your hand. The effect will still activate, unless it gets Veilered. So whenever this hits the field, it basically sends a frog to the graveyard. So you can send the Treeborn, you can send the Dupe Frog if you already have a Ronatoden. Generally, you'll try to send both Treeborns to the graveyard though, because you don't want to be drawing into those. His other effect is amazing because if he gets Veilered, his other effect is a cost effect, so it can still activate. His effect says you can send this card back. You can send one card you control back to your hand to be able to normal summon an extra frog this turn, except Swap Frog and Frog the Jam. So if he gets Veilered and his effect doesn't go off, you can just pop him back to your hand and he's safe. So you can use him next turn, just in case. Because generally you'll have something like a Battle Fader or a Trigoti or something in your hand that will save you when they attack you. So then you get the 3 Swap Frogs. Then I run 1 Singin'. It searches out a lot of the stuff. It searches out the Battle Fader, searches out the Effect Veiler, searches out Swap Frog, searches out anything that you need, except for the Monarchs. Onto the hand traps, 2 Veilers. These can get sided out with DD Crows. I'll show the side deck afterwards. Very good in this format, especially with Insectors running around. I need to get a third one for side deck because it's so helpful. Then 3 Battle Faders. You're gonna get a lot of times where your field's gonna be empty, especially since you don't run hand traps or anything. Sorry, especially since you don't run traps at all. This is gonna help you a lot because it's just Battle Fader. It ends the battle phase when you get attacked directly. Next turn, especially if you don't have the Treeborn, you can just sack the Battle Fader and tribute for one of your Monarchs. It's really, really helpful. Last 3 hand traps, 2 Trigodias, and a Gorz. You have a lot of hand retention in this deck, so the Trigodias definitely do get powerful. And if they synchro for Brionac or something like that, and then they attack and you get this out, you discard one of your Monarchs, their Brionac is yours. Especially and you can also discard the Lads and take control of the 8-star synchros, etc. It's just super helpful. Then I run 3 Light and Darkness Dragons. This card is great. I actually had to look up all the advanced rulings, so before I'm not even going to go into detail with this, because if you want to know what this does, you got to look up the advanced rulings, because there is like a novel on this card. It is so great. It basically negates everything. It even negates the Gorz effect to special summon. So enough said. Light and Darkness Dragon is just fantastic. Plus, when he dies, you select a monster in your graveyard, you scoop your whole field. Generally, he'll be the only card in your field when you use him, and you can special summon one of those dead Monarchs they ended up killing, or maybe you tributed a Monarch for Light and Darkness Dragon so that when he did die, you would have the Monarch again. Then you have the Dark Dust Spirit. It's kind of a loop with him. Whenever he's normal summoned, he destroys all face-up monsters on the field. So basically, you special Treeborn, you tribute Dark Dust, you bomb the whole field. You bomb all your opponent's monsters, especially with Insectors in Dark Worlds and all that crap. They're going to be special summoning like crazy, and they're going to have their field full really fast. So they go for that big push, they attack, you use Battle Fader, you summon Dark Dust Spirit, blow up everything. Amazing. There are some misconceptions. If this gets Veilered, it doesn't automatically return to your hand at the end phase. Your opponent has to choose whether they want their Valor effect to finish resolving before your Dark Dust would go off. So if your opponent chooses not to let your Dark Dust go back to your hand, it won't go back to your hand if they Valor it. So there have been misconceptions about that, and I wanted to clear that up. Okay, then just the staple Monarch, 3 Rysas, amazing. It's so good against Lightsworns. This card, when you distribute summon, you send a card on the field back to the top of the deck. This combos really well with Light and Darkness Dragon because you use the Treeborn that's in the graveyard and keep special summoning it, so Lad keeps negating it. And then once Lad can't negate anymore, the Treeborn comes out. You tribute for Ryza, you send a Light and his effect will go off because Lad can't negate it because he doesn't have another attack and defense. This will send the Lad back to the top of the deck to be reused again. I've reused the same Light and Darkness Dragon about 2 or 3 times per duel. If not, I end up top decking like 2 of them, and it's not bad to top deck that. This is also really good against Lightsworns. They have a wolf on the field. They -2. They lose a monster on the field, and they lose their draw phase because wolf is a dead card. So you got the 3 Rysas. Then last, the 3 Kaias. These are all the monsters in the deck. Kaias is really, really self-explanatory. When he's summoned, he banishes a card in the field. And if it was a dark monster, they take 1,000 damage. There's misconceptions with these cards, though. Their effect is mandatory, meaning if they're the only card in the field when they're summoned, you have to target them. So if you summon Ryza, and he's the only card in the field, you have to send him to the top of the deck. If you tribute for Chaos, you have to remove from play Chaos. So just keep that in mind when you're summoning stuff. Honest Spells and Traps. Monsterborn, Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, completely staple. Totally understandable. 2 Soul Exchange. I was running 3. I'm only running 2 right now because I would rather run a 3rd enemy controller. It's good. It gets over Zen mains. It gets over a lot of stuff that normally would hurt you. You just activate it, you take their monster, you +2. Even though you have to skip your battle phase, it's definitely worth it. 2 Pot of Dualities. People say this is a bad card in this deck. I don't think it is because the faster you can get your stuff going. So if you top deck this, it's perfect because you're not going to do any special summoning that turn. You would want to get this Treeborn Frog in your graveyard as fast as you can. And this Pot of Duality definitely helps. It's just consistency. These are the first 2 cards to get sided out, Game 2 or Game 3 in match play. So, easy side deck cards to get out. 3 enemy controllers. This is amazing because this is like, this one's games in this deck. Pretend you have the Treeborn Frog in the graveyard. So, he's in the graveyard. They have a monster on their field. You have 2... Hell, you have 2 of these in your hand. You go standby phase. He special summons. You chain to the special summon. You tribute the Treeborn. You take their monster. It's still the standby phase. Special summon. You can do it again if they have another monster. If not, you have their monster and your Treeborn Frog to tribute for Light and Darkness Dragon. Or hell, you can just tribute their monster and leave the Treeborn in the graveyard. I honestly, in my opinion, always leave the Treeborn in the graveyard unless you absolutely have to take it out. Only special summon the Treeborn if you're going to take a monster with enemy controller or you plan on tributing it that turn. Because if you leave it out there, they're going to go Chaos Sorcerer on it, they're going to go BLS on it. Because they don't want you to have your Treeborns. I had both my Treeborns banished one game, I just lost. I couldn't do anything. Then finally, 3 MSTs. This card is just amazing in this format. With all this shit going on, it's almost mandatory. Okay, then a side deck, 2 Smashing Ground. Just for random ass matchups that don't make sense. Like, why would they be running those decks? 2 Twister. You side out the dualities for Twisters in decks that run like Skill Drain or a ton of other face-up like Spell or Trap card effects. Or Shadow Imprison, any of like the mirrors or anything. You side in the Twister. You can you have 5 cards now to destroy back row. 5. It's so good. Even though you have to pay the 500, you have even more of a chance to get rid of that skill drain or to get rid of hell. If somebody's running zombies and they have Zombie World, guess what? Your deck is screwed. You can't tribute. So these get rid of the face-up spell and trap cards. 2 Cyber Dragons because you run a Chimera Tech in the side deck. In the extra deck, I mean. Really, really good. I mean, first off, it's just a free special. So you can you can even tribute it if you want to. I mean, but it is a 2100 beat stick. You can absorb the field for a Chimera Tech, especially with that new art ship coming out in the new pack. The weird gear monsters, that should be a very big deal 2 electric virus. This is also going to be a big deal in that new format. But right now this is for mainly Dino Rabbits, and it's not really Dino Rabbits because I have another side deck card for Dino Rabbits, but this could technically work against them. It's mainly for Chaos Dragons. They have the Red Eyes Darkness Metal, they have the Light Pulsar, whatever. You discard the Electric Virus, guess what? You take their monster, and you get to have it now till the end of the turn. It's just like the enemy controller, but you don't have to pay a cost by triggering a monster. You just discard this from your hand, because hand traps are amazing in this format. Then, you got 2 DD Crows. This is for Inzectors. Generally, you probably run Veilers 2 while you're facing Inzectors. So you'll probably still run the 2 Veilers, and you'll take out the 2 Dualities, put in the DD Crows, because you're going to want to get rid of their Hornets. It's also good against Dark Worlds. You'd mainly set out the Veilers against Dark Worlds, because you just want to get rid of the Graphas. I mean, I should probably put a 3rd DD Crow in here, which I'm probably going to do. But for now, this is good. And then I got 2 Kaiser Gliders. This card is fantastic against Dino Rabbits. Mainly because their Logia has 2400 attack. You tribute into Kaiser Glider. If they negate the summon, he goes to the graveyard. He was destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Their Logia goes back to their hand. It just dies. It goes back because of his effect. His other effect is if he battles the monster with the same attack as him, he's not destroyed. So you can swing at the Logia. He doesn't die, but their Logia does. He's just really good, especially even if you're going against another set of Monarchs. They're going to have the 2400 attack monsters. Guess what? You're going to set in the Kaiser Gliders. He can swing at all the Monarchs and not die. There's a few other cards I was thinking about running in my side deck. I just want to ask you guys. I was thinking about running Sea Lancers because what happens if your Trigger ones go away? I mean, you're not going to want to waste a spell and trap card spot because this deck is really monster heavy as it is, and there's not enough room for spells and traps. You could run these, and you could decide one in, and tribute for it, get both your Treeborns back if they died, and then you have a shield on the field. Unintended rhyme. I just don't know. I was thinking about side decking these because I had Lancer Frogs before, but I wanted to make Monarchs because they seemed like they'd be more consistent, and they definitely are, so don't get me wrong. But the Lancer build was good. Props to Serious Treeborn Frog for that one. This is just really good. I mean, I just don't know if I should run this in my side deck. Like, I would like your input. For those of you who don't know who this effect is, once while this card is face up on the field, you can target any number of banished fish, aqua, or sea serpent type monsters and equip them to this card. And as long as this card has one of those equipped to him, he gains 1000 attack. So he goes to 2300. He's 100 weaker than the Monarchs, but his other effect makes up for it. While this card is equipped to something, when it's supposed to be destroyed, you pop a card away. You pop one of the equipped cards instead. So this would get the Treeborn back in the graveyard from being banished. I just don't know if I should run it. Plus, it would also get the Ronin food back. I just don't know if I should run it. Just give me some input on that. And then also I got a Jinzo in here. I don't know. I mean, I need to get Puppet Plants, so there's not really that much room, but I can take out the Smashing Grounds or something. I don't know. Just Jinzo's in there because a lot of decks have traps in them. This deck doesn't. It won't hurt you. You summon it, boom, 2400. No traps. I don't know. I just thinking about it. And then the 3rd Soul Exchange. I don't know. I mean, I need another Maxi. I need to get a Maxi. I need to get Vanity's Fiends. As of now, I don't know. Then the extra deck, it's not complete at this point, but I'll show it to you guys anyways. I'm just gonna go through it because I'm probably running out of time. Chimera Tech, obviously, for the side deck, Cyber Dragons. 3 Gachis. This is really great with Swap Frog and Ronin-Totem. Just it makes this deck. Shooting Star Dragon, I'm missing one. This is an Orca. Formula Synchron, missing one. Blackwing Dragon, Stardust, Red Dragon Archfiend, Scrap Archfiend, Gaia, and Magical Android. This needs to be Magical Android. Obviously needs to be a Catastor, and Gaia needs to be a Brio. But as of now, that's my frognarchs build. Thank you, YouTube. Just let me know what you think and if I should add the Vanity's Fiends or whatever. Okay, Zelda Hoarder out.